When everything seems to be falling apart and the pieces of your life no longer fit, it's natural to feel hopeless. But in those dark moments, when the world appears to have abandoned you, lies a unique opportunity to discover the transformative power within you. Carl Jung dedicated his life to exploring the depths of the human mind, leaving us with a clear message. Chaos is not the end. It is the beginning of something extraordinary. We often face situations that seem to break us completely, relationships that crumble, dreams that don't come true, challenges that overwhelm us. It's easy to fall into the trap of believing we are victims of external circumstances, that there is no way out. But Jung taught us that within that pain lies a profound calling, a call to love ourselves, to closely examine the parts of us we prefer to ignore, and to find purpose behind suffering. Pain and confusion are not punishments. They are gateways to radical transformation. It is as if life, in its infinite wisdom, pushes us into a corner so that we stop running from our truth. In those moments, the key is not to seek external solutions, but to turn inward. Jung said, "What we do not confront in our minds, we will encounter as fate." This means that if we continue to ignore our shadows, they will manifest in our reality, forcing us to face them one way or another. Think about those times when the same type of problem keeps repeating in your life. Toxic relationships, unfulfilling jobs, friendships that drain your energy. This is not a coincidence. These are reflections of unresolved aspects within you. Jung called this a projection of the unconscious, what we fail to recognize in ourselves. We see reflected in the external world. But here's the great news. Once we become aware of it, we can begin to change our reality. True power lies in daring to look within. This is not an easy path. It takes courage to face our wounds, our insecurities, and those parts of ourselves we have repressed because we believe they are unworthy of being seen. Yet, it is precisely within those shadows that our greatest power resides. Jung put it beautifully. Light cannot exist without shadow, meaning that to discover our true essence, we must embrace both our light and our darkness. Imagine for a moment that your life is a canvas. Every experience, every emotion, every relationship is a brushstroke. But too often we paint with fear, following patterns that do not belong to us, creating a masterpiece that does not reflect our truth. What would happen if you let go of those fears? If you stopped worrying about fitting in and started creating from a place of authenticity? This is a challenge Jung presents to us. To stop being a mere copy of what the world expects from us and instead become the masterpiece we are destined to be. Jung believed that to transform our lives, we must first confront what he called the shadow. This shadow is nothing more than everything we deny, repress, or fear within ourselves. Those parts we prefer to hide, that make us uncomfortable, and that we have learned to push into the unconscious because they do not fit the image we want to project to the world. But ignoring the shadow does not make it disappear. On the contrary, it gives it even more power over our lives. It manifests in behavioral patterns, in decisions we don't understand, and in relationships that seem to repeat the same conflicts. It is as if we carry an invisible backpack filled with everything we reject about ourselves, and each time we avoid facing that burden, the backpack becomes heavier. The result? We feel trapped, exhausted, and without direction. Here lies the secret that Jung revealed to us. Integrating the shadow is not a punishment. It is a liberating act. By recognizing and accepting these aspects of ourselves, we stop fighting against what we are and begin to walk in harmony with our truth. However, this process does not happen automatically. It requires willpower and courage to face what we have been avoiding. Ask yourself, what parts of yourself are you repressing? What aspects of your personality, your desires, or even your fears have you not allowed yourself to explore? Jung believed that by integrating these shadows, we discover an inexhaustible source of power and creativity. It is as if by illuminating what was hidden, anger, fear, sadness, these emotions become signals from the unconscious, alerting us to something that needs attention. Instead of repressing them, we can explore them with curiosity and openness. What are they trying to tell you? What wounds or unmet needs are they revealing? It is also important to observe our projections. Have you noticed how certain people seem to trigger disproportionate reactions in you? Maybe someone irritates you deeply for no apparent reason, or you feel extreme admiration for someone you just met. These reactions are not random. They are mirrors of parts of your own psyche. Jung said that what we see in others, both what we love and what we detest, is a reflection of what we carry within. When we start working with our shadow, something magical happens. Relationships begin to transform because we no longer use them to project our wounds or deficiencies. Instead of seeking others to fill our voids, we approach them from a place of wholeness. This shift not only improves our connections with others, but also allows us to live with more authenticity and freedom. Jung also taught that in a moment of crisis, when everything seems broken, lies the greatest opportunity for growth. Crisis is not the end. It is an invitation to evolve. It is like the alchemical process that fascinated Jung so much. The lead of our wounds and shadows can be transformed into the gold of our wholeness. But this transformation requires patience, introspection, and a genuine commitment to personal growth. Imagine walking through a dark forest filled with uncertainty and fear. It is tempting to turn back and return to the safety of the known. But if you have the courage to move forward, you will eventually find a clearing, a place of light and serenity. This is a journey toward your authenticity. The initial darkness is only a phase, a necessary step to reach clarity and inner peace. Along the way, learning to let go is essential. Often, we cling to people, situations, or beliefs that no longer serve us simply because we fear the unknown. But Jung reminds us that the emptiness left by letting go is not something to fear. It is a sacred space where the new can flourish. By releasing what no longer aligns with our essence, we make room for relationships, opportunities, and experiences that truly resonate with who we are. As we delve deeper into Jung's teachings, we realize that letting go of what no longer resonates with us is not an act of weakness, but of courage. We live in a world that constantly pushes us to stay busy, to hold on to things, people, and beliefs, even when they exhaust us. But by clinging, what we are really doing is distancing ourselves from our essence. Letting go, on the other hand, is an act of trust in life, in our potential, and in the process of transformation. Jung understood that for something new to be born, something old must die. This does not mean abandoning everything we know abruptly, but rather being willing to let go of what no longer adds value. This process can be painful, but it is also profoundly liberating. Every time we release something that does not belong to us, we reclaim a part of ourselves, reconnect with our authenticity, and open the door to new possibilities. The challenge, however, lies in overcoming the fear of change. Jung said that change is not easy because our psyche is designed to seek security and stability. But personal growth rarely occurs in comfort zones. It is an uncertainty, in the unknown, where we find our greatest opportunities for development. Imagine a plant that must break through the hard surface of the earth to reach the sunlight. That is our growth process, a constant effort to break internal barriers and reveal our true selves. A central element of Jung's ideas is the concept of individuation, which is a process of becoming who you truly are. Individuation is not merely about achieving external goals or meeting societal expectations. It is a journey toward self-knowledge, toward integrating all parts of our psyche, including those we have rejected. It is a process that leads us to discover our uniqueness, recognize our strengths, and accept our weaknesses. On this journey, our connection with the unconscious plays a crucial role. The unconscious is not just a place where our fears and repressed desires hide. It is also a source of infinite wisdom. It speaks to us through dreams, symbols, and emotions. Jung believed that dreams are a window to the soul. Each dream contains important messages about our inner state and unmet needs. Paying attention to them and reflecting on their meaning can help us find answers and guidance in moments of confusion. For example, if you dream of being lost in a labyrinth, it could be a sign that you feel trapped in a situation in your life, unable to find a way out. Or if you dream of moving water, it might symbolize emotions that you need to process or release. Jung encouraged exploring these symbols and working with them to discover what they are trying to communicate to us. Dreams are like letters written by our soul, waiting for us to read them with attention and care. Beyond dreams, synchronicities play an important role in the path to authenticity. Synchronicities are seemingly random but deeply meaningful events that Jung described as significant coincidences. These occur when the external world appears to align with our inner world, as if the universe were conspiring to guide us toward our purpose. It could be meeting someone who has exactly the advice you need, or discovering a book that seems to answer your deepest questions. These signs should not be ignored. They are indicators that you are on the right path. But to experience these synchronicities, we must be open and receptive. We must trust our intuition and pay attention to the subtle signals around us. Jung believed that intuition is a powerful tool we all possess, but often neglect in favor of logic and reason. However, in moments of uncertainty, our intuition can be our best guide. It is that quiet voice that tells us which path to take, even when it seems illogical or risky. When we begin to live from this place of connection with our inner selves, something remarkable happens. Our relationships, decisions, and experiences start aligning with our truth. The right people enter our lives. The opportunities that truly resonate with us present themselves, and our energy is renewed. It is as if, by tuning into our essence, the outer world responds in harmony. However, this path is not without challenges. There will be moments of doubt, times when you'll feel tempted to return to old patterns or settle for familiar. But remember, every step you take toward your authenticity is an act of self-love. It is a reminder that you deserve a fulfilling life, a life that reflects who you truly are. This process of transformation is like the journey of a hero in an epic story. At first, it may seem overwhelming, filled with uncertainty and fear. But as you move forward, you discover a strength within yourself that you never knew you had. Along the way, you find allies, people and experiences that support your growth. And in the end, you return to yourself stronger, wiser, and more connected to your essence. Jung taught us that life is not about eliminating chaos, but about finding order within it. It serves as a reminder that even in the darkest moments, we carry within us a light that never fades. That light is our essence, our truth, our connection to something greater than ourselves. At the core of Carl Jung's philosophy lies a profoundly transformative idea, the integration of dualities within us. This integration, known as the process of individuation, is not an immediate destination, but an ongoing journey of self-discovery and acceptance. Here lies one of Jung's greatest lessons. We are not simple beings, but complex and multifaceted, and our wholeness depends on our ability to embrace that complexity. The individuation process involves reconciling seemingly opposing aspects of our psyche, shadow and light, reason and emotion, the conscious and the unconscious. Jung believed that inner peace is not achieved by eliminating conflict, but by embracing it and learning to navigate through it. Facing our internal contradictions may seem overwhelming, but it is essential to unlocking the full potential of our humanity. In everyday life, this means accepting emotions we usually reject. Perhaps you feel anger, jealousy, or sadness, emotions often perceived as negative. But these are not enemies, they are teachers. Each emotion carries a message, and by acknowledging them instead of repressing them, we gain insight into what our soul needs to heal and grow. Jung also spoke of the self as the core of our psyche, the center where all our parts unify. Achieving a deeper connection with the self requires courage and complete openness to explore our inner world. It is like diving into the depths of an unknown ocean, confronting what we have ignored or feared, but also discovering treasures we never knew existed. One of the greatest challenges in this process is facing projections we cast onto others. Often, the qualities we admire or despise in others reflect aspects of ourselves. For instance, if someone's arrogance constantly irritates you, Jung would suggest looking inward. Perhaps there is a suppressed arrogance within you, or a hidden fear being perceived that way. By recognizing our projections, we not only heal our relationships, but also progress on our path toward individuation. This journey is not a solitary one. While introspection is essential, we also need the support and connection of others to evolve. Authentic relationships, those where we can be ourselves without fear of judgment, are fundamental to our growth. Jung believed that every human encounter is an opportunity to learn something new about ourselves. The people who enter our lives, whether for a brief moment or for years, serve as mirrors reflecting aspects of our psyche. On this path to authenticity, we must also remember the power of myths and archetypes. Jung discovered that the human psyche is deeply influenced by universal stories that repeat across cultures and eras. These archetypes, such as a hero, the mentor, the wise one, or the shadow, are present not only in mythology, but also in our own lives. Recognizing these patterns in our experiences helps us better understand our role in the broader narrative of existence. For example, if you feel trapped in a cycle of suffering, you might be experiencing the hero's journey, an archetype where the protagonist faces seemingly insurmountable challenges only to emerge stronger and transformed. Recognizing this pattern can give you the strength to continue, knowing that even in the darkest moments, you are moving toward a more authentic version of yourself. The connection with archetypes also helps us find meaning in our struggles. Jung believed that meaning is essential to human life. Without it, we feel lost and disconnected. But when we find purpose in our experiences, even the most difficult ones, we can transform pain into growth and uncertainty into opportunity. That is why, whenever you face a loss, a failure, or a moment of doubt, remember that these are not insurmountable obstacles, but necessary parts of your journey toward individuation. They are challenges designed to help you discover the depth and richness of your inner being. And while this path may sometimes feel lonely, it is not. Every step you take toward authenticity not only transforms you, but also inspires and elevates those around you. As we delve deeper into Jung's teachings, we realize that the journey to authenticity is not just personal, but also collective. Humanity as a whole faces challenges that reflect the inner conflicts of each individual. Jung believed that the collective unconscious, this shared reservoir of archetypes and human experiences, shapes our lives in ways we often do not recognize. By working on our own individuation, we do not only heal our inner selves, but also contribute to the healing of society. This is especially relevant in times of crisis when it seems that the entire world is on the brink of collapse. Collective crises, like personal ones, are opportunities for rebirth. Jung maintained that in moments of greatest disorder, the potential for meaningful change is at its highest. This applies both to our individual lives and to global dynamics. If everything feels broken, it is because something new is trying to emerge. In our personal lives, this rebirth can manifest as a spiritual awakening, a change in direction, or a newfound understanding of ourselves. But for this to happen, we must be willing to face what Jung called the process of nigredo. This concept, borrowed from alchemy, describes the initial stage of decomposition and chaos that precedes the creation of something new. In psychological terms, it is a moment when we confront our shadows, wounds, and limiting beliefs. Imagine being in a room filled with clutter. Some objects hold significant value, while others are merely accumulated waste. To find what is truly valuable, you must first clear the chaos. This process may be uncomfortable, but it is essential. The same happens in our psyche. We need to confront and release what no longer serves us to uncover what truly matters. As we progress through this process, we begin to experience a phenomenon Jung described as symbols of transformation. These symbols appear in dreams, thoughts, and even daily experiences, acting as guides on our journey. They may take the form of recurring images, words that deeply resonate, or events that seem to carry a special meaning. Paying attention to these symbols and reflecting on their significance helps us move forward with greater clarity and purpose. The integration of symbols and unconscious experiences into our conscious lives is one of the cornerstones of Jung's work. It is a reminder that we are not alone on our journey. There are greater forces both within and outside of us that guide us toward our destiny. But to connect with these forces, we need to create space in our lives. Space for reflection, creativity, and silence. In a world full of noise and distractions, this may seem like a luxury, but it is a necessity. When we begin to live from this deep connection with our inner being, we experience a radical shift in how we see the world. What once seemed like an insurmountable obstacle turns into a valuable lesson. Relationships that used to drain our energy either transform or disappear, making room for more authentic connections. Decisions that once seemed impossible become clear and aligned with our truth. This change does not happen overnight. It is a gradual process filled with ups and downs. But every step we take toward our authenticity brings us closer to a life of fulfillment. Jung reminds us that the purpose of life is not to achieve a constant state of happiness, but to find meaning even in the most difficult moments. This meaning gives us the strength to keep going, even when everything seems broken. In the end, Jung's message is clear. Chaos is not the enemy. It is a fertile ground where our roots can deepen and our spirit can bloom. When we embrace our shadow, integrate our experiences, and follow the signs from our unconscious, we discover that we already have everything we need to rebuild ourselves. And in that process, we not only heal our own lives, but also become a beacon of hope and transformation for others. The culmination of the individuation process, according to Carl Jung, is not merely a state of personal fulfillment, but a deeper connection with the totality of life. This journey does not end when we face our shadows or integrate our dualities. Instead, it leads us to a broader understanding of our existence, one in which we recognize our interconnectedness with everything around us. One of Jung's most profound concepts is the idea that within each of us lies a sacred center, a divine spark that connects us to something greater than ourselves. This center, often referred to as the self, is the essence of who we truly are beyond our social masks, beyond our wounds, beyond our fears. It is the part of us that remains unshaken even in the midst of chaos. However, accessing this center requires more than just introspection. It demands that we face our fear of the unknown, release the narratives that limit us, and trust the process of transformation. In Jung's words, what you resist persists. What you accept transforms you. This transformation is not always comfortable, but it is liberating. By allowing ourselves to be vulnerable and authentic, we align with our deepest truth and open ourselves to the infinite possibilities that life has to offer. This journey toward the self also invites us to reconsider our relationship with time and purpose. Too often, we live trapped in the past, reliving old wounds, or in the future, worrying about what is yet to happen. Jung urges us to return to the present moment, to understand that our power resides in the now. Every decision we make, every thought, and every action has the potential to shape our future. This perspective restores our agency over our lives, reminding us that we are the architects of our own existence. Another fundamental aspect of Jung's work is the ideal connection with the natural world and the cycles of life. Many ancient cultures believed that nature was a reflection of the human soul, and Jung shared this vision. The changing seasons, the cycles of growth and decay, mirror our own internal processes. By observing nature, we can find wisdom and comfort, remembering that everything in life is transient. Just as winter gives way to spring, our moments of darkness will eventually lead us toward the light. It is important to emphasize that this path toward authenticity does not mean abandoning our responsibilities or relationships. Jung teaches us that fulfillment in life can only be found from a place of integrity. This means being honest with ourselves and others, setting healthy boundaries, and living in alignment with our values. In the context of relationships, authenticity can be challenging. We often fear that by showing our true selves, we might lose those we love. But Jung reminds us that truly meaningful relationships are not built on pretense, but on mutual acceptance. By being ourselves, we not only allow for genuine connections, but also inspire those around us to do the same. And so, we arrive at the central message of this journey. If everything feels broken, it is because you are in the middle of a renewal process. The pieces that seem to be falling apart are not the end, but the beginning of something greater. By facing your shadows, listening to your intuition, and following your truth, you are rebuilding your life from a place of strength and authenticity. Synchronicity, as Jung described it, becomes a constant guide in this process. When you are aligned with yourself, signs appear along your path, confirming that you are moving in the right direction. The right people arrive, opportunities present themselves, and most importantly, you find an inner peace that does not depend on external circumstances. So if you find yourself at that point where everything seems to be falling apart, remember, this is the ground where the seeds of your transformation are being planted. Allow yourself to feel, reflect, and let go. Trust that as you embark on this journey, you will discover a version of yourself that is stronger, wiser, and more in tune with life. As you reach the end of this introspective path, remember something essential. You are here for a reason. This message has found you because there is something within you that needs to be acknowledged, something calling for your attention and care. Carl Jung taught us that true transformation does not happen overnight, but is a result of a continuous commitment to our growth and authenticity. Within you lies the power to take control of your life, to integrate your shadows, to release what no longer serves you, and to embrace your deepest truth, Throughout this process, you may face doubts, fears, and resistance. It's natural. But every step you take toward your authenticity is a victory, an act of self-love that not only impacts you, but also inspires those around you. Your courage to be yourself encourages others to do the same. When you choose to live from your core, from your true essence, you contribute to a world that is more genuine and connected. That's why I want to invite you to take this message beyond yourself. If this content resonated with you, if you feel it could touch the hearts of others as it touched yours, share it. Share this video with someone who might be going through a difficult time, someone who needs to be reminded that even in chaos, there is hope and opportunity. Your action could be the guiding light someone needs to find their own path. I also want to hear from you. Leave a comment below. Tell me which part of this message touched you the most or how you plan to apply these ideas in your life. Your voice not only enriches this community, but also helps spread this message to more people who need it. Together, we can create a space where knowledge, reflection, and mutual support become a force for change. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell. By doing so, you'll become part of a community dedicated to personal growth, authenticity, and inner awakening. Every interaction, every like, every comment, is a step toward taking these teachings further, touching lives, and creating meaningful connections. Remember, change begins with you. Today, you have the opportunity to be an agent of transformation in your life and in the lives of others. Thank you for being here, for listening, and for being part of this family. Together, we can make a difference. See you in the next video, where we'll continue exploring the transformative power that lies within each of us. Until next time. Human relationships act as mirrors of the soul. When someone misses you but doesn't reach out, it's easy to fall into self-doubt, wondering if you did something wrong, if you weren't enough, or if their feelings were never as deep as yours. But Carl Jung taught us that the human psyche is far more intricate than we realize. Love and distance are not always contradictions. They can exist side by side in a person's inner world. To grasp this paradox, we must dive into the unconscious, where hidden fears, unresolved emotions, and silent conflicts shape our behavior. Think of someone with whom you shared unforgettable moments, someone with whom you built a deep connection, only to watch them drift away. Not because they stopped valuing you, not because they never cared, but because something within them resists the pull to return. Have you ever felt this yourself? A love that lingered like an unfinished melody, a bond that seemed unbreakable, yet slowly faded for reasons beyond your understanding. What truly happens when a person feels your absence yet hesitates to reach out? The answer isn't simple because human actions are not dictated by logic alone. Jung discovered that most of our choices, emotions, and even avoidance patterns stem from the unconscious, an unseen realm that subtly dictates our lives. It is here that our deepest fears, childhood wounds, insecurities, and unprocessed emotions reside. When someone distances themselves despite longing for you, their behavior is often driven by forces they do not fully comprehend. It might be a fear of intimacy, unresolved trauma, ingrained beliefs about love, or an automatic defense mechanism. Jung referred to these inner forces as complexes, deep-rooted emotional patterns that operate beneath our awareness, influencing our relationships in profound ways. For instance, someone who grew up equating love with abandonment may have developed an unconscious fear of attachment. In their mind, getting too close to someone inevitably leads to pain. So no matter how much they care, their psyche urges them to retreat for self-preservation. This internal conflict can create distance even when their love is genuine. Jung famously stated, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." In other words, if someone misses you but does not return, it isn't always a matter of choice. Often, it is an unseen psychological force at work, shaping their responses in ways they themselves may not understand. Another element of Jungian psychology that plays a role in these situations is the concept of the shadow. The shadow represents the parts of ourselves that we suppress, reject, or refuse to acknowledge. Many times, people project their own unrecognized fears onto others, assuming the problem lies outside of them when, in reality, it is something they're avoiding within themselves. Perhaps this person sees in you something that unsettles them about themselves. Maybe you represent a truth they are afraid to confront, a longing they have suppressed, or a side of their identity they refuse to embrace. This internal struggle can lead them to withdraw, not because they don't feel deeply, but because facing those emotions feels too overwhelming. If you've ever experienced a connection where someone you love disappeared without a clear reason, it's crucial not to let their actions define your worth. Instead of searching for answers in their silence, Jung invites us to turn inward. Why do you need them to reach out? What part of you feels incomplete without their validation? What past wounds are being triggered by their absence? Jung's process of individuation, the journey toward self-discovery, teaches us that true love does not stem from neediness, but from wholeness. If someone misses you yet chooses not to return, it is not your role to chase them or convince them of what they are losing. Instead, this is an opportunity to reflect on whether you are relying on external validation to feel complete. Love is not about dependency. It's about choice. If someone decides to walk away from your life, even if they secretly miss you, their absence speaks more about their own inner struggles than about your worth. Jung believed that true connection happens when two souls meet at a similar stage of evolution. If a person isn't prepared to face their unconscious mind, they won't be ready to embrace real love either. Accepting this truth is challenging, but it is also liberating. Instead of wasting energy analyzing someone else's behavior, instead of waiting, hurting, or trying to make sense of their absence, the most powerful response is acceptance. Silence often carries a message far clearer than words. This is where transformation begins, when you stop searching for answers in another person and start finding them within yourself. You begin to understand that you don't need someone to choose you in order to feel whole, because the only choice that truly matters is the one you make for yourself. When you stop chasing what isn't aligned with your path, you start attracting what is in harmony with your essence. Jung believed that when we fully embrace who we are, life provides exactly what we need. Not always what we desire, but what is essential for our growth. If someone misses you but does not reach out, perhaps their distance is a lesson in detachment. It is an opportunity to learn to trust that real love doesn't require force, to recognize that your worth isn't defined by who stays, but by how you choose yourself every single day. If you have ever felt the pain or confusion of knowing that someone misses you but refuses to reach out, remember this. You are not here to convince anyone to stay. You are not meant to wait for someone to overcome their own fears. You are here to evolve, to discover who you are beyond external validation. Because the moment you truly choose yourself, when you integrate your shadow and embrace your authenticity, the universe aligns to bring you people who are truly ready to meet you where you are. Every interaction we have with another person reflects something within us. If someone misses you yet remains distant, that space between you isn't just an external occurrence. It's a mirror of their subconscious world. Jung taught that relationships act as catalysts for our psyche, revealing hidden aspects of ourselves. That person who pulled away despite their longing for you may be facing an internal battle they don't fully understand. Your presence may have awakened a part of them they are not yet willing to confront. Jung also believed that the people we connect deeply with tend to activate parts of our shadow, the suppressed aspects of our psyche that we have buried due to fear, shame, or uncertainty about how to integrate them. When someone leaves without a clear reason, it is natural to ask, "What did I do wrong?" Or, "Why wasn't I enough?" But the truth is, their departure has far more to do with their personal struggles than with anything you did. We all carry unhealed emotional wounds that prevent us from fully opening up to love. It could be fear of rejection, the belief that we are not worthy of deep connection, or the idea that intimacy means sacrificing independence. If you have ever felt the urge to distance yourself from someone you cared about, you know that such decisions are not always rational. Sometimes, our subconscious compels us to run from the very things that challenge us to confront what we are not yet ready to face. That person who misses you but won't reach out maybe deal with exactly that, a confrontation with their own unconscious fears, with emotions they don't yet know how to process. Often, the real challenge isn't love itself, but the way we perceive ourselves within it. Jung believed that love is not just an emotion, but a profound journey of individuation, a chance to integrate our fragmented aspects and move toward wholeness. Yet, for many, Love feels less like an opportunity and more like a risk, a threat that exposes them to vulnerability, uncertainty, and the possibility of pain. When the fear of emotional exposure outweighs the desire for genuine connection, the instinctive reaction is to retreat. This leads us to a crucial question. Do we truly want to be with someone who is not ready to face themselves? Because if a person has not done the inner work necessary to acknowledge and integrate their own shadow, that unresolved conflict will eventually manifest in the relationship. What may start as an intense and passionate bond can gradually turn into a cycle of avoidance, fear, and deepening wounds. Emotional closeness triggers unresolved aspects of the psyche, and without the courage to confront them, many choose distance as a defense mechanism. When someone misses you but does not reach out, it is not merely a matter of emotions. It is a reflection of their internal limitations. It's not necessarily that they don't care, but rather that something within them is preventing them from stepping forward. If we cling to the belief that it is our responsibility to bridge that gap, we risk entangling ourselves in emotional dependency where our well-being becomes reliant on another's actions. This is where the concept of projection, as Jung described, becomes crucial. Jung taught that we unconsciously project our unmet emotional needs onto others. If we struggle with self-love, we seek validation from external sources. If we doubt our worth, we look for someone to make us feel valuable. But when that person does not respond as we hope, when their silence wounds us, it is often because the pain already existed within us long before they arrived. This is where true self-awareness begins. The real question is not why they are not reaching out, but why we need them to. What part of us feels incomplete without their presence? What inner void are we trying to fill through their attention? When we grasp this, we stop interpreting another's absence as rejection and begin seeing it as an opportunity for self-exploration. Jung believed that destiny is not an external force that happens to us, but something we create through our choices, whether conscious or unconscious. If we repeatedly seek validation in relationships where we are not prioritized, we are merely reenacting an inner pattern that demands healing. The only way to break free from this cycle is to stop searching outward for what can only be found within. Accepting that someone may miss you yet still not pursue you is difficult, because we've been conditioned to believe that love is proven through action. However, sometimes the most powerful action is inaction. Their distance is their choice, but how we respond to it is ours. We can analyze, overthink, and search for explanations, or we can use this moment to strengthen our relationship with ourselves. True love is not born out of need, but out of freedom. Love, in its most authentic form, is not a chain. It is a mirror. It reflects who we are, reveals the areas we need to heal, and offers us a chance to evolve. When someone pulls away, the real question should not be, how do I make them come back? But rather, what is this situation revealing about me? Because in that answer lies the key to our own transformation. The human mind is a labyrinth of emotions, fears, and hidden desires. When someone misses us but does not reach out, it is easy to assume that they simply do not care enough. However, Jung's insights into the psyche show that reality is rarely that simple. People can feel love, longing, and nostalgia, yet still be unable to take action. This is because the unconscious is a vast and often intimidating realm. Not everyone has the strength or awareness to navigate it without fear. Some individuals find avoidance safer than facing their emotions, not because they do not want love, but because their psychological framework does not allow them to approach it differently. If a person has learned, from an early age, that love is tied to suffering, abandonment, or conditional acceptance, they may grow into adulthood associating emotional closeness with danger. They may feel deeply for you, but their fear of reliving past wounds holds them back. Understanding this does not mean excusing their behavior or waiting indefinitely for them to change. It means recognizing that love is not about chasing someone who is emotionally unavailable. It is about cultivating the kind of love within ourselves that does not need to be earned through another's approval. And in that realization, we reclaim our power. Carl Jung explained that emotional wounds do not disappear with time. Instead, if they remain unconscious, they retreat into the shadow, manifesting in ways we do not always understand. One of these manifestations is emotional avoidance. The mind develops strategies to prevent reliving past pain, often by distancing itself from what truly matters. This is why someone may feel your absence, may remember you fondly, Yet at the same time, their instinct tells them that staying distant is the safest option. This is where the question deepens. What do you truly need? When someone does not take the step to reach out to you, even though they miss you, their behavior is revealing something important about their inner world, but it is also showing something about you. If that distance affects you intensely, if it makes you doubt your own worth, it means that a part of you is still seeking validation from others. The love we long for externally is often a reflection of the love we have yet to give ourselves. Jung stated that the process of individuation consists of integrating all our parts, of accepting who we are without expecting the external world to fill our voids. When someone does not seek you out despite missing you, it is an opportunity to ask yourself, what part of me is still waiting for someone else to confirm that I am worthy of love? This is where transformation occurs. It is not about making the other person return or understanding why they act as they do. It is about looking within yourself and asking why you need that confirmation. Because when someone misses you but does not reach out, what is truly happening is that the universe is presenting you with a lesson in detachment, self-love, and the importance of letting go of what does not flow. Letting go does not mean forgetting or resigning. It means understanding that authentic love does not need to be forced. What is meant for you arrives naturally. If someone is not capable of taking the step to be by your side, it is not because you are not enough, but because their own path does not allow them to at this moment. It is not your task to convince anyone to choose you. Your only task is to choose yourself. When you become aware of this, something shifts in your energy. You no longer desperately seek answers in someone else's actions because you understand that their process is not your responsibility. You no longer wait for messages, signs, or gestures to confirm what you already know deep inside. You deserve a love that is clear, free, and certain, because love is not doubt, fear, or a game of intermittent distances. Real love is certainty, and the first certainty you must have is about your own worth. Jung said that when we heal our wounds, we stop attracting people who reflect them, because the external world is nothing more than a mirror of our inner world. If you constantly attract relationships where you feel stuck in an endless waiting game, where the other person seems afraid to take a step forward, where uncertain outweighs a connection, it is because a part of you still needs to reaffirm its own value. And until you make that wound conscious, you will keep repeating the same pattern. The good news is that you can change this dynamic the moment you decide to stop waiting. The moment you stop asking why the other person does not reach out and start asking yourself what you truly need to feel whole. Because the truth is, the greatest love you can experience does not come from another person, but from the deep connection you build with yourself. And when you reach that point, when you realize that you do not need to be chosen by anyone to feel valuable, the universe responds. The people who come into your life no longer do so out of avoidance, but out of authenticity. They don't come from fear, but from clarity. And in that moment, everything changes. True love doesn't leave you waiting, doesn't keep you in the shadows, and doesn't make you doubt your own worth. If someone misses you but doesn't seek you out, it is not your task to solve their inner conflict. Your task is to learn to let go, to trust, and to remember that real love always finds its way. Not because you chase it, but because you attract it when you are truly ready to receive it. When you understand that love is not about waiting for someone to overcome their fears, but about living your own truth, everything starts to change. The absence of someone who misses you but doesn't seek you out is no longer a wound but revelation. It is a universe showing you with absolute clarity that you don't need to chase what is not ready to find you. Jung taught us that relationships are mirrors of our own psyche, and when someone does not take a step toward you, it is a sign that there is something within them that has yet to be integrated. But here's the key: that is no longer your burden. It is not your job to heal anyone or to wait for someone to resolve their inner conflicts in order to be with you. You did not come into this world to live in the uncertainty of whether someone will choose you or not. You came to remember that you are the one who must choose yourself first. Because when you do, when you truly commit to your own growth, you begin to attract relationships that reflect that same clarity and maturity. Real love is not confusion. It is not avoidance. It is not doubt. It is certainty. And that certainty begins within you. You don't need signs, subtle hints, or endless analysis of what the other person feels or does not feel. What matters is how you feel, how you choose to live your life, and what kind of love you are willing to accept. Because when you choose yourself a conviction, the universe responds by bringing you people who are also ready to choose you. So now, the question is not why the other person doesn't seek you out, but why you are still waiting for something that isn't coming. What part of you is still holding on to the idea that love must be difficult? What story are you still telling yourself about what you deserve? Because the moment you let go of that belief, the moment you decide to release what doesn't flow, you open the door to something much greater. There are no coincidences in life. If this message has resonated with you, if you feel that this is something you needed to hear, it is because your subconscious already knows the answer. Because you are at a point in your journey where you need to remember that you are not here to be a secondary option in anyone's life. You are here to live fully, to surround yourself with people who uplift you, who inspire you, and who choose you with the same strength that you would choose them. I want you to reflect on this and share your thoughts in the comments. Have you ever felt that someone misses you but never reaches out? How did you handle that situation? Do you feel it's time to let go and choose yourself? Share your experience. Because every word you leave not only helps you, but can also illuminate the path for someone else going through the same thing. If this message has brought you value, help me spread it to more people. Like this video, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss more content like this. And if you know someone who needs to hear this, share it. Because together, we can create a space for awakening, healing, and living authentically. Remember, you are not here to wait for anyone. You are here to choose yourself. And when you do, everything that is truly meant for you will find its way into your life. See you in the next video.
There are moments in our daily routines when, despite being surrounded by people, we feel strangely disconnected, as though no one truly sees us, hears us, or understands us. The sensation of not being loved can be overwhelming. It can creep in silently and settle deep in our hearts, making us question our worth, our identity, and even our purpose. The search for genuine love then begins to feel like an endless and uncertain path, one filled with doubts, emotional wounds, and unfulfilled hopes. However, it's crucial to understand something profoundly transformative. Love, in its purest and most authentic form, is not merely an emotion we feel on the surface. According to Carl Jung, love is a profound inner process. It is not about fleeting moments of passion or idealized connections. Rather, love reflects the ongoing journey of self-discovery and inner understanding that every human being must undertake at some point in their life. When you feel loved, what you are truly experiencing is a reflection of the love that already exists within you. Love doesn't begin with another person. It begins with you. And when you feel empty, unloved, or emotionally abandoned, it's a signal, an urgent call to look inward and examine the relationship you have with yourself. Jung encourages us to dive deep into our inner world and explore how our past experiences, our hidden fears, and our deeply rooted insecurities shape the way we relate to others. Ask yourself sincerely, do you truly love yourself in the way you deserve to be loved? For Jung, real love is not instant. It's not something that magically appears when you meet the right person. True love is a path, often winding and difficult, that forces us to confront the parts of ourselves that we've suppressed, rejected, or tried to hide. He referred to these parts as the shadow, the emotional baggage, the flaws, the pain, the unresolved memories. And genuine love involves facing that shadow, acknowledging its existence, and accepting it as a vital and inseparable part of who we are. This process of embracing the shadow is not meant to break us, but to liberate us. The key to personal transformation and to the experience of true love lies in what Jung called individuation, the process of becoming who we are meant to be, the unveiling of our authentic self, beyond masks, roles, or societal expectations. When someone truly loves you, they do not try to mold you into what they want you to be. They don't seek to change you in order to fit their ideals. Instead, they encourage you to be exactly who you are, to explore your potential, to walk your own path of personal growth. That kind of love is not possessive. It is liberating. It is not dependent on perfection, but anchored in acceptance. Jung believed that love is a force of personal evolution. It is a powerful tool for growth. Love, in its highest form, pushes us to go beyond our limitations. It invites us to confront our vulnerabilities instead of hiding from them. Love is not a safe haven of perfection, where everything is easy and smooth. It is a fertile ground where we can grow, where we can learn, where we can evolve, not only individually, but also in connection with another person. Seen from this perspective, love becomes a vehicle for authenticity. It becomes a mirror, a space, and an invitation to explore the depths of who we truly are and what we deeply need. That's why feeling alone or unloved is often not a reflection of others' absence, but a sign that you are disconnected from yourself. Jung taught that true love begins with the acceptance of oneself. If you don't love yourself, if you constantly criticize or reject parts of who you are, it becomes incredibly difficult to receive love from someone else. Real love doesn't come from finding someone to complete you. It comes from discovering your own completeness and then sharing that wholeness with another. In healthy relationships, genuine love expresses itself when both individuals are free to be who they are without fear of judgment, shame, or rejection. This kind of love is unconditional. It is not based on expectations or on the need for the other person to change or fix something. Instead, it is founded on mutual respect for each other's individuality, a deep understanding that every person is a unique being, worthy of love exactly as they are. When someone truly loves you, they are not there to save you or to solve all your problems. True love is not emotional dependency. It is not about losing yourself in another. Instead, it is a shared space for mutual growth. Jung believed that love is built through authentic connection, and this connection can only exist when both people are willing to confront their own fears and shadows. It takes courage, it takes vulnerability, but above all, it takes a deep desire to be real with yourself and with the other. Genuine love invites you to look within and to discover your true needs and boundaries. It's not about being perfect, nor is it about fitting into a mold. It's about being honest, brutally honest with who you are and what you need. This kind of radical authenticity is the foundation of a transformative relationship, one where both people support each other on the path to self-realization and inner growth. So, if you find yourself feeling unloved, perhaps the first question to ask isn't, "Why doesn't anyone love me?" but rather, "Am I willing to love myself the way I truly need to be loved?" Jung reminds us that true love isn't something we find out there. It's something we awaken within ourselves. And only when we allow ourselves to love and accept all the parts of who we are, without judgment, without conditions, can we begin to attract people who truly see us and appreciate us for who we are. Love, then, is not a passive experience. It is not something that simply happens to us. It is an active force. It requires daily action, presence, commitment, and above all, a willingness to grow. When someone truly loves you, they don't just show up for the good times. They walk beside you through the storms, the doubts, the healing, and the transformation. They don't avoid the hard conversations. they embrace them, knowing that love is not about keeping things comfortable. It's about turning them into something profound and meaningful. Jung saw authentic relationships as a reflection of our inner journey. The quality of the love we give and receive is directly tied to our capacity to know and understand ourselves. The deeper we go within, the more honest we become with who we are, the more meaningful our connections become. Genuine love is not merely an emotional exchange, it is a co-creative act, a shared journey toward truth, self-understanding, and authenticity. And if at any point in life you feel like love is slipping through your fingers or like it's an experience reserved for others, that may be the perfect moment to turn inward. Begin the sacred work of self-exploration that Jung so passionately advocated. Because only when you allow yourself to be fully and unapologetically who you are, without masks or pretenses, will you begin to attract the kind of love that doesn't want to change you, but embraces you entirely. This journey of self-love and acceptance won't just liberate you from external expectations, it will also free you to be loved deeply and honestly, just as you are. As we move through life, we often face inner battles that make us wonder if we are truly worthy of love. This is a deeply human feeling, and while it may be uncomfortable, it can also be the catalyst for profound personal transformation. Jung understood that love, like self-awareness, is not a destination. It is a lifelong journey. It's not merely about finding love in others, but about discovering the well of love that already lives within you. And that, above all else, is where true love begins. According to Carl Jung, the path to authenticity is not a straight road paved with easy choices. It is a deep, intimate journey inward. This journey begins the moment we stop searching outside of ourselves for what has always resided within. In our day-to-day lives, we often seek validation from others, from our relationships, our accomplishments, and the people who surround us. We chase praise, recognition, and affection, hoping they will confirm our worth. But the truth is, real love begins the instant we understand that the most vital validation is the one we give to ourselves. Self-love is not merely a phrase repeated in self-help books or motivational posters. It is a lifelong practice, an inner discipline. It means embracing not only our strengths and achievements, but also our flaws, our pain, and our unresolved parts, the shadows we try to hide. Jung, through his concept of individuation, encourages us to realize that personal growth is not a linear ascent. It's a winding, evolving journey filled with moments of pain, confusion, clarity, and sometimes even peace. It is a process in which we face the hidden aspects of ourselves, those we've rejected or feared. And healing does not come from suppressing these parts, but from integrating them into the whole of who we are. It is not about eliminating the darkness, but about learning to live with it, to see it as part of the complete human experience. Genuine love pushes us to face not only the beautiful parts of ourselves, but also the ones that make us uncomfortable or vulnerable. It shines a light into the dark corners of our being. And most importantly, it creates a safe space for us to do that inner work. Someone who truly loves you will not run from your vulnerability or your imperfections. On the contrary, they will remain present, walking with you through your pain and doubts, helping you face them with compassion instead of judgment. This kind of love is not passive. It is not about overlooking or tolerating your flaws. It is active, committed. A person who truly loves you engages in your journey toward healing and self-discovery, not to fix you, but to support you while you find your own path. This love does not fear imperfection because it understands that imperfections are not failures. They are raw pieces of the human experience, essential to our growth. When we learn to love ourselves in this way, we begin to embrace our weaknesses with curiosity instead of shame. We stop measuring our worth by standards of perfection and begin to value the honesty of our emotional experience. True love is also revealed through freedom. When someone truly loves you, they respect your autonomy. They do not seek to mold you into a version of what they want. Instead, they stand beside you, encouraging your personal growth, your truth, and your individuality. This kind of love creates a sacred space where both individuals can be fully themselves without fear of rejection or judgment. Freedom in this context does not mean detachment or distance. In fact, emotional connection flourishes when both people feel safe to be vulnerable, to express their emotions honestly, and to show up authentically. The love that offers this freedom becomes an act of deep respect. It does not control, it does not manipulate, it invites. It welcomes the beloved to walk their own path, to discover their identity, and to grow, not apart, but together. Jung teaches us that real love transforms us. It challenges us, not in a way that breaks us down, but in a way that calls forth the strongest, wisest parts of who we are. It asks us to stretch, to evolve, to leave the comfort zone of the familiar self and enter the vast, unknown territory of who we might become. But this is not a destructive challenge. It is a sacred one, a love that pushes you not because it demands change, but because it believes in your potential and inspires you to rise into it. The person who truly loves you doesn't see you as broken or incomplete. They don't seek to repair you. They see you as someone full of potential, someone in the process of becoming. And it is this kind of love that ultimately leads us to transformation. Through love, we gather the strength to face our shadows, to acknowledge our limitations without shame. We begin to integrate all the rejected parts of ourselves. We learn to welcome not just our light, but also our darkness, knowing that both are essential to becoming whole. With this integration, we draw closer to our truest self, the self we were always meant to become. Love becomes a mirror. Not only does it reflect who we are now, but it also reveals what we are capable of becoming. Real love does not settle for superficial comfort. It delves into the psyche, into our fears and our longings. It shows us the walls we've built from fear and insecurity, and in showing us those walls, it gives us the courage to tear them down. But make no mistake, this journey of transformation is not quick, and it is not easy. As Jung once said, the path toward authenticity is long and full of challenges, but true love walks alongside us, not as an easy solution to all our problems, but as a powerful force that urges us to confront life's trials with courage and a deep understanding of ourselves. Through this transformative journey, we come to know what it truly means to be loved, not for the mask we wear, nor for the roles we play, but for who we really are in the deepest layers of our being. When you feel unloved, the first step is to turn inward. Jung reminds us that everything we need is already within us, waiting to be discovered and embraced. Only when we allow ourselves to love who we are, without judgment, without rejection, do we become capable of receiving genuine love from others. In this way, love becomes a shared path where two individuals meet to grow and evolve together, acknowledging and accepting both their light and their darkness. True love doesn't always appear the way we imagine. It's not a fairy tale or a flawless story that flows without conflict. In fact, genuine love is a landscape where both beauty and imperfection grow side by side. Every relationship that deepens in love will inevitably face moments of tension and hardship. This doesn't mean the love is weak. On the contrary, it's through these trials that we begin to uncover the essence of who we are. Difficulties don't destroy love. They create the very space in which real connection is forged. Jung emphasized the importance of confronting the unknown and not fearing the parts of ourselves that we've hidden in the shadows. In this sense, love becomes a tool of self-discovery, a mirror that reflects aspects of ourselves we might have preferred to ignore, but which are vital for our personal evolution. A truly loving relationship invites us to face what we would normally avoid: our fears, our insecurities, and our vulnerabilities. When someone genuinely loves you, they don't flee from these parts of you. Instead, they stand by your side as you learn to accept and grow from them. Authentic love is not a refuge from suffering. It is an invitation to grow through it. It does not shut down in the face of adversity, but rather meets it head-on with strength and understanding. Hardships, crises, misunderstandings, and challenges are not the end of love. They are the storyline through which it deepens and solidifies. Jung teaches us that pain, temporary disconnection, and conflict resolution are opportunities to take a relationship to a higher level. It's in those difficult moments that love reveals its true strength, turning trials into opportunities for transformation. This also means that love is not something static. Rather than being a permanent state of bliss, real love is fluid. It evolves, adapts, and strengthens over time. Just as we grow and change, so does the love that binds us. It is not based on attachment or the need to preserve an idealized version of the relationship. Instead, it's grounded in flexibility and acceptance. It adjusts to the shifts of life and the internal transformations of each person. True love, then, is not about expecting perfection. It is not a relationship defined by the absence of conflict. Instead, every disagreement becomes an opportunity for greater understanding. Jung invites us to see love not only as a safe haven, but also as a space where people can grow freely, explore their potential, and perhaps most importantly, be seen and accepted for who they really are, without masks or pretensions. When you truly love someone, what you're really doing is accepting them completely, their strengths and their flaws, their fears, and their moments of vulnerability. Genuine love doesn't thrive on what is perfect or polished. It lives in the hidden corners, the unseen places, and the quiet gestures of everyday care and support. It's found in simply being there when you're needed the most. And while love can be hard, it's also the place where we find the greatest strength to keep going. Jung understood that love is not only an emotional experience, but a deeply psychological and spiritual one. It integrates every part of our being, guiding us toward wholeness. It challenges us to bring together the fragmented parts of ourselves. In this way, love is not just about merging with another person. It's about reconciling with those inner aspects of ourselves that we've neglected or rejected. When we love, we face not only the other person, but ourselves. And through that confrontation, we find greater inner peace. Someone who truly loves you provides the space for this integration. It's not just about emotional support or affection. It's about a deep commitment to your growth. This person is willing to walk beside you on your path of self-understanding and self-acceptance. They encourage you to be yourself without changing to meet someone else's expectations. As you move forward in this journey, love becomes a guide, a force that helps you discover and embrace your authentic self. This kind of love, though at times painful or difficult, becomes a vehicle toward true freedom. It's not possessive or controlling. Instead, it respects the other's autonomy and nurtures the freedom to be. It doesn't demand that someone fit into an idealized mold. It invites each person to express themselves fully, respecting the uniqueness of their human experience. What truly matters in a deep, loving relationship is the ability to be vulnerable together. Rather than hiding our weaknesses, true love welcomes them. Vulnerability becomes a shared space for growth, where both people can explore who they are without fear of judgment or rejection. This kind of love doesn't rely on perfection or image. It's grounded in the mutual acceptance of our shared humanity. In the end, that is the essence of true love. From Jung's perspective, love is a deeply transformative experience, one that involves self-awareness, vulnerability, growth, and ultimately, freedom. It's not something passive or superficial, not a fleeting feeling or a romanticized illusion. Rather, it's a deliberate and ongoing commitment to the journey of discovering one's true self and allowing another person to do the same. It is an active, courageous act of walking alongside someone while they navigate their own path toward authenticity. When we truly love someone, we are not merely accepting what is on the surface, the visible traits, behaviors, or roles they play in society. We are embracing the depths of their being. That includes their dreams, fears, desires, their shadows, and their light. Real love sees beyond the mask and into the soul. It recognizes the chaos, the contradictions, and the beauty within that person. And in doing so, it becomes a mirror through which we can also see ourselves with greater clarity. It's through this kind of profound, conscious love that true transformation occurs, both within the individual and in the relationship itself. Throughout life, it's natural for us to seek love in others. But Jung reminds us that the true key is not merely to receive love from someone else, but to learn how to give it fully, openly, and just as importantly, how to receive it without resistance. Many of us are raised with the belief that we must be strong, independent, and self-sufficient, that we must face the world behind a wall of strength and composure. Vulnerability, in that context, is seen as a weakness, but this belief prevents us from truly experiencing the depth of love. Real love requires openness. It demands the willingness to be seen as we are, with all our complexities, imperfections, and contradictions. Only when we allow ourselves to be truly vulnerable, when we drop the defenses and let someone in, can we access the transformative power of love. Genuine love isn't a transaction. It's not about giving in order to get something in return. Instead, it's a sacred space, a living, breathing connection, where love flows freely and continuously between two people. It is an act of generosity and trust, where both individuals offer themselves fully, without holding back and without fear of loss. However, this does not mean love should be limitless or unconditional to the point of self-sacrifice. Jung emphasized the importance of boundaries, healthy, self-respecting limits that protect our individuality. Love does not mean losing ourselves or giving up who we are in order to please another. On the contrary, real love nurtures each person's individuality. It supports autonomy while also strengthening the bond between the two. When someone truly loves you, they don't just celebrate your victories, they also stand by you when you fall. They don't judge you for your mistakes. Instead, they help you learn from them. That kind of love creates a safe, accepting space where you can grow, where your failures are not a source of shame, but an opportunity for understanding and evolution. The acceptance that comes from someone who loves you deeply is not based on who they want you to be. It's based on who you truly are, and perhaps even more importantly, on who you are becoming. This kind of love, the love Jung spoke of, does not chase perfection. It embraces imperfection as part of the human experience. In fact, it is precisely through our flaws, our cracks, and our broken pieces that the deepest connections are often formed. True love doesn't try to fix you or mold you into someone else. It sees your potential and gently, persistently inspires you to grow into the best version of yourself. According to Jung, a romantic relationship is like a mirror. Through our partner's eyes, we begin to see ourselves differently, sometimes in ways we had never imagined. We discover parts of our personality, our emotions, and our unconscious self that we had never faced before. Love, in its most profound form, doesn't just teach us about the other person, it teaches us about ourselves. In the act of loving and being loved, we come face to face with our inner world, our unspoken fears, hidden desires, and long-forgotten shadows. And because we are held in love, we are able to explore these parts in safety and without judgment. Jung believed that each of us, throughout life, is searching for a reflection of our psyche, a relationship that shows us who we truly are. Love serves as this reflection. It reveals both what we have accepted about ourselves and what we have rejected or denied. And in doing so, love becomes a powerful force for integration, a psychological and emotional process through which we become more whole. We begin to live more authentically, more completely, because we are no longer divided within ourselves. Through this journey, love becomes more than just a connection between two people. It transforms into a sacred tool for personal evolution. It reshapes not only how we relate to others, but how we relate to ourselves. Deep connection with another human being can only emerge when we have started to truly know ourselves, when we begin to accept our fears, our shadows, and our limitations without running from them. Genuine love calls us to show up in full vulnerability, not hiding behind roles or masks, not trying to be what others expect, but daring to be our true selves. Only when we strip away the layers of ego and insecurity can we truly enter a relationship that is not built on illusions or fantasies, but on the essence of who we are. This kind of love requires bravery. It calls on us to be courageous enough to reveal our hearts, even when we are afraid. Vulnerability, rather than being a weakness, becomes the very foundation for intimacy. And make no mistake, this kind of love is not easy to find, nor is it easy to sustain. Real relationships, the ones that go beyond surface attraction, demand effort. They require conscious daily work from both people involved. Love is not about instant gratification, nor is it about the constant pursuit of pleasure or comfort. It is a living, evolving process, built day by day through patience, mutual respect, and deep understanding. Each small gesture of kindness, every word of support, every moment of emotional connection. These are the bricks with which love is built. And as time goes on, these acts accumulate to form a strong, enduring bond. Love becomes not just a reflection of what we give each other, but also a mirror of our shared willingness to grow, to evolve, and to rise together, individually and as a unit. True love, in this sense, is not about possession or dependency. It is about freedom. The freedom to be yourself fully and the courage to allow the other to do the same. It is not about completing one another, but about walking together in a journey where both people are whole and evolving. It is not rooted in control or fear, but in the deep, spiritual understanding that transformation is possible through connection, through honesty, and most of all, through love. As Carl Jung understood it, love is not something static. It's not a momentary emotion that simply arises and fades away. Love is a living, breathing force that we must actively build, nurture, and protect. It challenges us to grow, to stay fully present, and to understand that the most profound and meaningful relationships are those that demand our time, our energy, and, most importantly, a constant willingness to be truly authentic. Love, in its highest form, is not just about another person. It's about who we become in the presence of love. It becomes a powerful process of self-transformation, one that influences not only how we relate to others, but how we relate to ourselves. This kind of love invites us to look inward, to confront our limiting beliefs, to release the fears that keep us small, and to fully embrace our humanity in all its complexity. Genuine love allows us to see ourselves as we truly are, both the light and the shadow, and to accept that entire spectrum of who we are without judgment. Real love is not a quick fix or a romantic escape. It is a deep and sometimes uncomfortable journey towards self-knowledge and radical acceptance. It opens our eyes to what lies beyond our insecurities and reminds us that what really matters is the authenticity with which we offer ourselves to life and to others. When we begin to love ourselves fully, when we treat ourselves with kindness, compassion, and truth, we prepare ourselves to both receive and give love in its truest form. And it is only then, when we are whole within, that we attract relationships that do more than just fill a void. They inspire us, challenge us, and elevate us into the best possible versions of who we are meant to be. True love, in its deepest essence, is not merely an encounter with another person. It's an encounter with our own soul. It's not something we chase in the outside world. It is something we cultivate within ourselves. Jung believed that in order to love another authentically, we must first accept and integrate all parts of our being, the beautiful and the broken, the light and the dark. As we learn to embrace our shadows, the parts of us we hide, deny, or fear, we begin to understand others with more compassion and clarity. And it's from that place of wholeness that we can build relationships that nurture us, teach us, and support our evolution. Genuine love isn't about finding someone who completes us. It's about finding someone who, alongside us, is willing to grow, to heal, and to expand, who sees us not only for who we are, but for all we are capable of becoming. True love is a sacred pact, not just with another person, but with ourselves. It's a mutual commitment to walk the path of transformation together. It's a journey of self-discovery and self-acceptance, a path that leads us to live with more integrity, more truth, and more courage. It means no longer hiding behind masks or pretenses. It means daring to be seen, heard, and known for who we really are. And when we truly love ourselves, when we dare to be authentic and unapologetically us, we naturally begin to attract the right people. people who are also ready to walk this journey with open hearts and open minds. The most meaningful and deep relationships are not built on perfection, but on vulnerability, mutual understanding, and an unwavering support for each other's personal growth. These relationships become mirrors of our inner journey. Just like the love we develop toward ourselves, they are a reflection of our individuation process, a sacred unfolding towards self-realization and authenticity. And that's why it's so important to understand that love is not a magic cure for all our problems. Love is not a fairy tale ending. It is, however, one of the most powerful tools we have when it's lived from a place of truth. Love transforms us. It pushes us to evolve. It challenges us to become better, more conscious human beings. It invites us to face our limitations, to embrace our inner darkness, and to stretch beyond the comfort zones we've outgrown. As Jung once said, love is not a final destination. It is a continuous journey, a sacred path that brings us closer to ourselves and to others in the most genuine way. If this message resonates with you, I invite you to take a moment to reflect on how love shows up in your life. Are you allowing yourself to be vulnerable? Are you loving yourself in the way that you truly deserve? Real love always starts within. And only when we dare to be authentic, when we truly accept who we are, can we draw in the kind of love that mirrors that same depth. If you believe this message might help someone else, I encourage you to share it. Together, we can build a community where love, authenticity, and personal growth are the foundation of our relationships. Please feel free to leave a comment below. I would love to hear your thoughts. What does love mean to you? How are you living it in your life? Your experiences could be the inspiration someone else needs on their path. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, now is the perfect time. Turn on the notification bell so you never miss a video that helps you grow and evolve. Share this video with your friends, your family, or anyone who might need to hear this message. Together, we can reach more people and make a positive impact in their lives. Thank you for being a part of this journey, for being part of this community. I'll see you in the next video, where we'll continue exploring how to transform ourselves and live a fuller, more authentic life. And always remember, true love begins with you. See you soon.